All right. Yeah, this is called Restream, and I learned about it from a friend a week before I started doing this.
Oh, perfect timing.
Now I know,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So, well, hello everyone. Hey, why don't you bring your mug out here?
Oh,
The
sure.
mug is like
Nice
it's
little.
becoming a little thing on
Oh,
here.
get some little mints in here. This is
Got a little
awesome. Great.
mint. Yes, I'm wanting Stephanie to see herself as a girl boss
Oh,
today.
in a house full of men, it's hard sometimes, but no, that's okay.
Well, welcome Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Periscope Live. We are on. It's the Simply Felicity Podcast, and thank you so much for joining us. I've got always very special, but a very special guest today, Stephanie Tressel. Thank you so much for joining me.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yay! I'm so excited to have you on today. And as timing would have it, I've got you on a really special time right now. You are going to be filming this Saturday.
Recording, because don't say film, because I hate being on camera. No, it's on the radio, which is thank goodness. But
I thought I was going to get to pull Stephanie on camera for her first on camera interview, but no, it's not her first. Now she's had a couple.
Yeah, I don't enjoy it, but
she's getting more comfortable. And look how lovely she is. If we can have any comments about how beautiful.
Because normally, again, being on radio, I have the luxury of just showing up and talking and not have to pull myself together. And I joked that I was kind of this football, basketball mom that just wore a lot of sweatshirts that said Lyle football, Lyle basketball. And I don't really try to put accessorize and all that, but this has been a little bit more of a challenge, and it's nice to do it once in a while. But just watching myself on camera, I'm like, I need like a media coach or something. I'm like, why do I close my eyes so much? So I have to get beyond that. But I enjoy an opportunity to work out of my comfort zone. I have a son that has he's on the autism spectrum and he has Asperger's, and so I'm always pushing him out of his comfort zone. And he'll say to me, Mom, why do you push me out of my comfort zone? You know I'm just going to go right back in when you're done. He's like, why do you even bother? And so I'm like, so now it's up to me to, I have to take a bit of my own medicine and say, oh, just because you don't like doing it, you don't know. And those are words I say to him constantly. Now I got to say them
coming back on her.
I love when that happens as a mom. One day, I picked Reagan up from school. His shirt was literally on backwards and inside out because he had gone to gym, pulled the t-shirt on, and he just doesn't care about that kind of stuff. He doesn't look at it. So I'm just driving home, just, like, Reagan, just take a little, like 5 seconds to look in the mirror when you get out of gym to make sure it's okay. And I just want him to be conscious of that. He doesn't care. And so I get in the house and go to the bathroom, wash my hands. My shirt is on inside out. And it was God saying, really? I was like, okay, let me shut up. Let me take the time to look in the mirror. I'm glad that Reagan didn't catch it. I'm glad I did, because I would have never lived that down.
Never.
No. But yeah, so it's very interesting. And I love this girl boss mug. I'm going to be inspired by this and just being more confident, because my show for 7 years I had a relationship. I got to be on radio on WLS, and for 5 years I had my own show. And then recently WLS made a agreement with U of I to do their football and basketball games on Saturday. And so that means that my show was affected by that, and I have to do a podcast now. So I would come down and do a live 3-hour show, taking amazing phone calls and having phenomenal guests. But now I get to record my podcast during the week,
okay,
and it'll be on the website the same way it is now, and then people can listen to it at their convenience. So it gives me Saturdays off now, and I can do more things like drag Reagan out of his comfort zone and take road trips. And then I get to, it just gives me this freedom. But at the same time, unfortunately, I can't take live calls. And that was when I first won this radio contest that afforded me the opportunity to be on WLS. When I would just go on with my little topics, it was the live phone calls that gave me the energy that either challenged what I was saying or applauded what I was saying. So I'm so accustomed to having that voice. So that part I will miss. So
you are able to have guests, though.
I can have guests.
Okay.
I can call in. They can come to the studio. I still get to come to the great studio. It just be during the week at my convenience. And so a lot of things are going to be the same, but it's just so this Saturday is my last live show, and I'm hoping just to take tons of phone calls and just get some feedback. And this is an opportunity for, again, I'm transitioning, and I like to do a pregnant pause after I say transitioning because that word means so many things in this society these days. But I'm
yes.
transitioning.
I'm transitioning like
transitioning
radio to podcast.
That's what I'm doing. So that it's a challenge, and I'm processing this since July 2nd when I was called in and they told me. And this, it's so funny when and they said you're experiencing something in your life that you never even prayed for. Maybe you prayed for it and now you have it and you haven't really realized. Oh my God, I never thought I'd have a show on WLS. I was just this listener, avid listener. Where I was a liberal when I started listening, and then
really,
I was living
how
in Rogers
long
Park.
ago?
In 1993, my husband bought a car for
avid listener.
I mean, my husband bought a car that had only an AM radio in 1993, and the car was like $700. And we lived in the city, and you really don't need a nice car. And so he kept promising, I'm going to put in an FM radio. He never did, like many things on his honey-do list. He never got around to it. And we would share the car. We literally would get in and out, never hardly ever in the car together, but we somehow both found WLS. And so I started listening, and I thought every host on that station was backcrap crazy. I'd be yelling at them as I'm driving down the expressway because I was this Democrat living in Rogers Park, uninformed Democrat. I wasn't really paying attention. But because I was born in this packaging, I inherited the Democrat Party, and I'm in Chicago. Of course, I'm a Democrat. And so suddenly, slowly, we just kept listening. I would listen every time I got in the car. It was nothing else really on AM that I would consider listening to. But so this was just like, okay, let's listen. And before he could even get around to actually putting in FM radio, neither one of us wanted an FM radio. We both, and he was this big liberal as well. And then all of a sudden we both just got it, and we moved to the suburbs, and I joked that they put something in your water in DuPage County and suddenly you're just like this crazy conservative or something. But no, my values changed. I think the closer I got to Christ, the more I got into the word, and I realized one party better fit my belief system, my core values, my traditional family thoughts, and everything else. And so all of a sudden, I attribute that to WLS, because if I hadn't had these guests that these hosts that I didn't agree with, but they were entertaining, they were knowledgeable, and most of all, they had integrity. I could tell that they did a lot of research, and they wouldn't just get up in the morning and just start talking. You could tell that they were actually believe what they were saying, and they had the proof and facts to back it up. And suddenly I just realized, wait, I'm not a Democrat. I've never really been a Democrat. I've always been right or center. And so it's been an amazing opportunity came along when one minute I'm riding around in my minivan with my kids, and next thing I hear they have a contest that they're running for the very first time. It was called "Are You the Next Talk Star?" And I just thought, are they like reading my thoughts in my head? Not that I thought that I was going to win. I thought I'd enter this contest, I'd make it to some level, and they'd give me a chance to get a tour of the studio, and I was just going to be, that would have been way more than my.
Is this a long time dream of yours?
Never. I just always thought.
When you heard about the contest, that was when you decided.
Would you like to try it, however they worded it? And because I thought to be on the radio, you had to go to college for communications and you had to have this journalistic background or whatever. So I never thought that I could ever be a Sean Hannity or Rush Limbaugh. I know they didn't go to college, but I just like, it's too late for me. So I wanted to enter the contest, and I talked myself out of it. And then I decided, what the heck, what do I have to lose? And so I went through.
At least you'll get a tour.
At least I get a tour.
Right.
And everything was so hard to do. They wanted you to submit audio. I had to write something, and I'm pretty good at that. But they wanted this audio in 4MP4, some kind of format that I wasn't familiar with. Okay. And my house literally sounds like the day. My house sounds like the day room at an asylum. So just to get a space quiet was so hard. Okay. Because I've got, boys at that point, 3 boys running around torturing each other. So I go to the library and I take my iPad or something, and I find this app to use it, and I submit it. Over 100 people entered the contest, and I made it to the top 10, and then you had to promote yourself to get enough votes to make it to the top 5.
Yeah.
So then I created this little article that I was writing for the Lyle Patch at the time, and I created this article and included my picture, and I posted it on a bunch of liberal pages, because they would see a black woman in the contest, they're going to click yes. They don't even, wait, this is a conservative, whatever. And I posted it on Al Sharpton, Jesse Jackson, everything liberal, just to get black people to vote for me or anybody to vote for me. And then
that's actually hilarious.
I was just thinking, what could I do? And so I made it to the top 5, which meant that I had to compete against the other 4 people live at a bar restaurant on air. And they never told us what the format was going to be or how we were going to be questioned or how we were going to compete with each other. But the night before the contest, I made the mistake of reading all of their bios. I found them on social media, and these people were attorneys, PR people. And I'm thinking, I'm just this minivan driving mom in the suburbs that didn't go. I went to college for like 2 weeks, and how am I in this group? I said, must have been a mistake. So I decided I'm just going to go and have fun. And one of my friends said to me, hey, Stephanie, you made it to the top 5. That's a big thing. And just enjoy this. Maybe you could market this to be a commentator somewhere or whatever. So on my way there, I just remember my husband driving me to the contest, just thinking, just enjoy that this was way beyond my expectations. So this is going to be great. But as we were sitting in this kind of makeshift green room, I introduced myself to everybody and kind of got an opportunity to talk to them and kind of disarm them that, oh, where do you live? Oh, I know. Okay. And I'm just talking to all of them. And then once we got on stage, I got kind of competitive because I was thinking my husband and I haven't been on vacation together in a very long time. And part of the winnings was a trip to Mexico. And I was thinking, these people trying to steal my trip to Mexico. I deserve to go to Mexico. So we go through the whole thing. And at one point, I thought this other woman was so funny. Her name, coincidentally, is Megan Fox, like the actress. And she and I are dear friends now. She got to go first. She was funny. She was engaging. I'm thinking, oh, the rest of us could just go home. This woman's got it because it's all live and people had to vote. And we had a couple judges, but most of it was going to come from people listening and texting in.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, she got it, and whatever. And so when they announced the name, we didn't have on headphones, so it was hard for us to hear. I thought the one gentleman in the group had won, so I'm just waiting for him to hurry up and get up so this could be over. And my palms were sweaty. I just wanted to go and be with my family. And everybody's pointing to me. They're like, no, you won. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so that was just, an amazing opportunity.
Wow.
I won. They said you get 1 2-hour show, 1 trip to Mexico on a limo ride down to the studio, and you get these amazing headphones. And so I go. They don't give me any tips. They don't say this is how you do a radio show. I beg for a tour. I said, can I come in before this show so I can at least get comfortable and won't be starstruck by the first time I'm walking into the studio. So they let me come in and just sit in the producer's room. But I didn't get to meet anybody or anything. I was just watching. And so when I went in for my first show, I just remember being so nervous and just feeling like how, no kind of like guidance, how to put together a show. What are you going to talk about? So there was this Christian singer had come to my church, and I immediately liked what he was singing, and I bought a CD on my phone, never thought about it again. Weeks later, it's my first show, and I'm feeling like I just need to hear God's voice. So I just put on his CD on a loop the whole morning while I'm prepping.
Nice.
I just needed to hear what he had to say. And I only liked the guy's one song, but turns out his whole CD is like the driving force in my head. And so I do it, and the phones wouldn't stop ringing. It's 2012. It's a black woman in Chicago bashing Obama. They were like, who is this woman? Everybody was calling in. The phones were just blowing up. And a lot of people calling me this is Tyrone from the West Side. Who are you? Who told you to say that? They must be paying you to say that. You can't be for real. And then halfway through, the person that did the promotions at the time came in and said, if we want you to come back, would you come back? And I'm thinking, yeah, I would love to come back. Now, I've got my husband's golf towel on my lap because my palms are sweating so much, and I'm literally wiping them off, as I go. So for 18 months, they let me fill in. After that, they would whenever I call myself kind of a radio slut. Whenever they would ask me something, I would say yes. It was just like, I didn't care because I figure I haven't been to radio school, broadcast school. So anytime they ask me to be on,
this is like a miracle.
I need to hone my skills. I need to be available. So if they said, do you want to be on for 1 hour from 7 a.m.? I would just say yes. I've got to fill in with some amazing people, fill in on every time slot, and it was just a learning process.
Wow.
And then after 18 months, they offered me my own show, and then I moved to Arizona for 2 years, and they let me do my show from my closet with this little piece of equipment. So I was literally a closeted conservative for 2 years. It's 120 degrees in Arizona, and I'm doing my show, but what gave me that freedom, because my show was at 9 to midnight. So when I used to walk out of the studio after bashing Obama for about 3 or 4 hours, I would be looking like this, going to my car, like somebody's going to get me. But when I was in my studio at home, I was free. I could say whatever I wanted to. I didn't have to worry about trying to get from my car to the parking lot. So that was really amazing. I had to learn a lot about remote broadcasting and trying to sound lively, and even though I'm in a closet by myself and I'm talking to the producers, they're in my ear whispering, and I'm just alone, no life. I put a mirror just so I could see myself moving, not like just so in my peripheral, just because it just seemed so lonely. But I did that for 2 years, and I couldn't have.
If you had videoed it, you would have been like the mirror.
It was
It's
120
okay. It's
degrees, so
okay.
I had on like a running tank top or something
Oh,
and shorts because it was so
wow.
hot. So I couldn't really dress. Nobody would want to see that on camera. Me just looking like, where's she going to the Walmart? But so that was amazing. And then when I moved back, they offered me, I just went right back to doing it in the studio, which was great because then I could talk to my producers, look at them, and they give me guidance or whatever. So it's been what's been so phenomenal is that they've given me an opportunity just to talk about whatever I want to talk about. They've never said, Stephanie, you can't say that, or Stephanie, here's what you should talk about. I was kind of like this self-contained show where I produced my own show, I booked my own guests, I did everything, and I just went and recorded my show, and I kind of like vacuum on my way out and closed the door. I didn't bother anybody, I didn't ask for anything, they didn't have to book guests for me or anything, so I was so easy. I was like not demanding at all. And I enjoyed having that freedom and the control over who and what I talked about.
Wow.
At first I used to send an email every Friday. This is who I'm going to have on, and this is what I'm going to talk about. And every once in a while they'd say, well, I don't know if you can have that person. Then I realized, you know what? As time went on, they really didn't care about the emails, and I realized, oh, I could just ask for forgiveness instead of permission. So if I did, but so far, luckily, that I've never got a phone call saying, what are you doing on
What were
Sunday
you
nights?
doing?
What were they?
Yeah.
Because I had been listening to WLS for 20 years, so I kind of knew their tone and who they are.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be like my favorite host on
Well, that's the thing that I think is, so cool about your story is you kind of got to be a consumer of what you ended up doing. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if somebody is lively and engaging enough, even if you disagree with them, you'll at least keep listening.
And that's what
And it
that's
can
what I
really
thought.
be life changing for someone. So, and then you got to step right in and be able to
Yeah, it
do
was a lot
that
of fun. And
and do that
my,
for
my
other
favorite
people.
part as I end this the 7 years was having people that didn't agree with me on. It's kind of boring when everybody agrees with everybody. Oh, you're
I
great, I
agree.
love you, whatever. But I would reach out to Democrats in Chicago and nationwide. I love the local Democrats that are in media, and I can say, hey, would you like to come on and just, and here I'm just this little grandma driving around in my minivan. They may have a degree, letters in front of their names, behind their names. I'm like, oh, just come on in, let's just talk. And then, some of them would, a lot of them would say, are you crazy? I'm not coming on your show.
Right.
But I was never afraid. I didn't operate in a vacuum. I love interacting with them because my goal is to be as I said in my little bio when I went into the contest, I wanted to be the Harriet Tubman for the Republican Party. I want them to know the history that Harriet Tubman was a Republican. There's so many of them. So I want to engage with them and just let people know that in Chicago, Deep Blue Chicago, run by Democrats since the 30s, that there is another party out there. There are other options, even though my party hasn't done a good job of going into those neighborhoods and saying, hey, like Trump said, what do you have to lose? And that's what I want to do now. I want to be that voice. And I was so blessed for WVON to allow me in 2017. I got to be on their station 5 times. I either co-hosted or hosted by myself. Can you imagine?
Wow.
You listen to WVON and you love Al Sharpton, and on Memorial Day, you turn on the radio, Labor Day, I think it was, and here's this black conservative. I know people's cars are like what is this? And they were calling in, and I had so much fun, and the producers would tease me about how much the phone would ring. But people, I would say 75% of the people I may not have agreed with me, but they were so kind. They were just like, well,
Nice.
okay, it's nice to hear another voice on WVON. It's nice to hear a different opinion. But it was like, yeah, in my packaging, they call me a unicorn. You're a black Republican. How did that happen? You grew up on the west side of Chicago. And how could you be? And I said, how could I not be? Because I grew up on the west side of Chicago. And they always tell me, you forget where you come from. So like this Saturday was one of those times I had allowed a lot of extra time to get to work because of Aaron Warder's show. But I didn't need the time, so I got off the expressway, drove down the street. I drove through the neighborhood that I grew up and drove down the street I grew up on because they keep saying I forgot where I came from. But no, where I came from forgot where I came from. It looks nothing like the neighborhood that I grew up in the 70s with the grocery stores, and I could walk and get a carton of milk, and the schools are closed, and all these things that the speed bumps. We had one vacant lot on the block that I grew up in the 70s. I drove down this time, and just as me driving, I took a little count. And some of the lots looked pretty big, but I still counted them as one. There were 10 empty vacant lots. And the one vacant lot on our block when I grew up, our landlord on my side and the other side of this lot put a fence up and there was grass there. Now there's garbage filled vacant lots in the street. And so that's what I'm saying. That's my goal is that I want everybody to think about self-preservation. And certainly you don't want to abandon your community and just pull out, but you got to think about what's important. And breaking the cycle of poverty is to give your kids a good opportunity to be educated. And unfortunately, Chicago public schools are failing kids, and we know that. And I just think do whatever you can to make sure every generation does a little bit better than the last. My mother dropped out of high school to have me. I went to college for about 2 weeks or whatever. Maybe I was there 3 weeks, and it didn't work out. Different family situations. And I wanted to make sure that my kids, if they wanted to go to college, I wanted to make sure they did. So my daughter has a master's degree from Benedictine University because I just honestly believe every generation doing a little bit better than the last, and that's all you can do. And not all my kids have college degrees. A couple of them do. All of them have college of some sort, but they all work very hard. And at least, not all of them moved out of my basement yet. No, but they are working hard, and
it's about options.
Right. Yeah. And so that's what I think. And so that's what just makes me sad that back in the 70s, when I grew up, my mom and my stepdad had regular jobs, but they also hustled. They had, they just like, we're going to make it. We're going to do this. And now it seems like the hustle has been removed from our community, and that fire in your belly to achieve the American dream is so many handouts, there's so many subsidies, there's so many just giving you something where you don't even have to leave out of your house. You just have to get up and go get your food stamps. You don't even have to do that anymore. It's on a card. It's easy. Everything is subsidized.
Apply online.
Right. Yeah. You don't even have to. And that's okay. I don't mind. As the Republicans come side, they say we're cold-hearted and we don't care about people. No. Those programs are in place because if you need it, you fall back on it and you use them temporarily. But if your granddaughter is moving into the same housing complex that your mother lived in, something went wrong.
Right.
You're not achieving the American dream. You're not, because that's no life way to live when you're depending on big government to take care for your food, water, clothing, everything. And it's just a matter of just going out there and just really working hard. And as a mom, I'm sure you too, you want all your kids to have college. But then my mother, I'm 54 and she still wants me to go get my degree.
That's hilarious.
She's like, Mom,
for me, college isn't really a part of the American dream. And I have my PhD,
so
it's
doctor.
Like funny.
Right,
I know. But I enjoy school, and my children really don't.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, they want to be in entertainment. And I told my daughter, I said, listen, if even one person had asked me if I graduated from high school on an audition, I would tell you. But they don't care.
They really
don't. It has to be something that you're wanting to do for a fallback. If you're wanting to teach acting or something like that. But I'm just interested really in people doing what God has put in them to do. But also the second thing, of course, is to be able to take care of what you got to take care of time. And that does require a willingness to work. You have to do. I realize it's kind of like riding a bicycle. You know what I mean? You want to have your dream.
Okay.
And you want to have your ability to by working with what you've got going on right now and what, your supply. So, and, I was interested in talking to you because I knew people think of the dream as something maybe you had when you were little. You weren't dreaming of being a radio host when you were little. I mean, this was a dream God in your heart just when you were listening to something on the radio. Dreams can come like different ways.
You never know, right? And I do Bible study, my staple, because I grew up, I grew up really use the Bible a lot. I don't want to talk about one particular organized religion. So when I came up and got baptized, coming into a non-denominational Bible-based church, I was so I Bible study, because we'll study the book of Daniel, blah, blah, blah. So into this little silly concept, I keep saying silly, but it was amazing. And I remember before I left,